part 2 of the Bridge podcast featuring Greg Robinson with Robinson Horsemanship. I am your host, Emma Kaufman. This episode, again, is brought to you by W Ranch Advocacy. Now, this episode is going to be more of a visual one, so if you have the chance to hop on YouTube, we're going to be going over different bits, different bridles, equipment, and then we're going to take my mare out into the arena. And y'all, the things that we were doing with this horse within the hour that we were videoing is absolutely insane. We transition her from 3 different bits, and you can just tell a night and day difference on this horse. So if you have the chance, hop on YouTube. If you missed part 1, be sure to also listen to part 1 because we're going to be referencing a lot of the conversation topics from that first part. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so now let's talk about some of the tack that we were just verbally describing. Now let's physically show what you're riding in and what you're talking about. So,
right. Well, this is a GR bit. It's got a Billy Allen mouthpiece in it. We've lengthened the purchase. That's purchase, the distance from here to here, okay? And there is a bunch of tongue relief there, okay? That's as far as it'll go. It won't collapse completely, right? That's as far as it's going to go. So if this was a dog bone or a snaffle joint, that would close and get the bars of the horse's jaw. This won't do it.
And what were you talking about? Sorry, the part that you were talking about earlier. I don't know if it...
The purchase. We lengthened this distance. That's the purchase of the bit right there, okay? So with the combination of the slope of the mouthpiece, the longer purchase, it really sits nice in a horse's mouth. And so if my horse's mouth is over that, right, if I pull both reins, all that's going to happen is that, right? Nothing's going to collapse. If I use one rein, nothing changes in that horse's mouth. I just touch the corner of the horse's mouth right there. So I can ride it two-handed or one.
Right.
And nothing pinches them.
Yeah, so go ahead. You're talking about... Yeah.
See, I can use that independently and nothing changes. Or I can use both reins and that's all that happens.
And that's what you're talking about where the tom thumb, this whole part just collapses in. Yeah. And for those who don't understand, the horse's mouth is like this. There are bars on this horse's mouth, and that's where that pressure, so these are like the bars, right?
And see, that won't crunch down on it. So let's do this. Let's take...
I'd say show him with the tom thumb, but we all know Greg doesn't have one.
You know, hell no.
That's like drinking a beer in the Baptist parking lot. You're not allowed.
Oh, this is, I don't even know whose this is, but it'll work.
Okay.
So so this is your regular snaffle mouthpiece, right? So it closes like that, right? So imagine if there's shanks on that and you pull, that's the why.
And again, their bars are right here. So when you do that,
smashes down on them. So that's why horses get to gape in their mouth and flipping their head and whatnot.
They're just trying to relieve that pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, I've got a couple of different snaffle bits I use. I love my hackamores. And I go up and down all the time. I don't So like even, say I've got a horse I'm going to show him the snaffle bit. Snaffle bit for 30 horse, right? About the time that I feel like I'm having to help them too much, I'm changing. So I can go up to this bit. I might even go up to riding them straight up in a bridle bit for a day or two. And that's a big misconception too, is people think I'm trying to say bigger bit's the answer. No, that's not the answer. What I want is a good fresh feel all the time, no matter what's on them. So I'll go up a bit, and then I go right back to the snaffle, and I got that fresh, soft feel again. I go to the hackamore. A good friend of mine, Salt of the Earth Leatherworks in Tennessee, Isabella, she makes these little side pulls that are super handy on young horses. But I change all the time. All the time I go up and down.
Right.
Because I want a soft, fresh feel.
Interesting. Well, and I think that you hit on a really good point that people think the more advanced you get, the bigger bit you're supposed to ride in, and that's not always the case.
No.
But talk about a little bit on these hackamores. I think there's a lot of, maybe for newer riders, a lot of misconceptions on when and how you're supposed to ride with these on different level horses, and it's not just an age thing.
No.
But you were talking about, so for those who don't understand like the big difference between the two here, there's a massive difference. You said this was really good for younger horses. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I've had some horses come in that maybe were started and pulled on a lot in a snaffle bit, and they were a little scared of it.
Yeah.
I'll put them in this, and I'm shooting for the day I can ride them in this. This one, it's called the side pull. I can kind of tip their nose a little more and whatnot, take a hold of them, but it sets them up good for this. What I see a lot with the hackamore is people have a direct line pull. You cannot pull. You've got to keep life in that rein, shake, and get the feel, because if you're pulling on them, they're going to figure out it's basically a glorified halter.
Yeah.
And they'll run right through it.
So when you say keep life in that halter, how would you describe that to somebody?
And we might get to it
Okay.
later, but instead of pulling to set their head, you have to like keep life in that rein and shake them down. Not yank on them, but just liven it up. So that's working on their nose and their jaw, and they start to come off that pressure.
Okay.
But if you direct pull them, you'll screw them up.
Yeah.
Like you can't do with this what you can do in a snaffle or any of the other bits by just pulling and holding. Because they'll learn to lean on it and create all kinds of problems.
The hackamore is external pressure versus all of your bits are internal pressure.
Right, and I'll do this at clinics too. You know, I'll take a horse straight out of the snaffle bit just to prove a point. To say how, because it's supposed to take 8 years to put a horse in this.
Right.
But
And for those who are listening, what are we holding right now?
it's a bridle bit.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of people, they'll like get bug-eyed and slack-jawed and the color drains out of their face when they see a bit this big.
Yeah.
Right.
Spade bits too. That's kind of that seems to be
Oh yeah, people they
hate
about
on
have a
that.
stroke over that. But there's more abuse worldwide going on every single day to a horse's mouth and a snaffle bit than there is a bridle bit or a spade.
That's the quote of the day right there.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You watch people.
Oh, 100%.
Because they're like this with that snaffle. Well, it's just a snaffle. Okay, it's just a snaffle. Tell you what, let me put it in your mouth. And then you lay down, and I'm going to sit in the middle of your back, and I'm going to do what you were just doing to your horse's mouth and see if we're still friends after that. No.
Yeah, I think people forget how forgiving horses are with
Thank
us
God. God
and our
bless 'em.
mistakes.
God bless them.
The original saints.
And you're going to see this later. I'm going to put this on your mare.
Okay, sweet.
And you keep your hand. It's like a joystick. This is about all the movement you need.
This is exciting.
So people look at this and think it's harsh, and then ride around on old Bayford yanking on his face in a snaffle bit or a damn Tom Thumb, you know? And it's like, knock it off. So like with your mare, later we're gonna start.
I remember that's the first one
GR
she started in here, yeah.
Yep. To work on the flex and bending, and that's another thing, you know, they're afraid to go out of the snaffle into something else, right? So that's
Why do you think that is?
Well, just not being educated, you know, and saying, oh, they're not ready, they're not ready, they're not ready. But if you're pulling on them a lot and always fixing something, I can promise you they're saying, hey, would you do something different? Because they're just going to get duller and worse, right?
And is that where you would say horses start getting really hard in the mouth? Is constantly.
Sure.
Okay.
And that's not their fault, that's our fault.
Right.
So, you know, that's why I go up and down with different bits. But then you get your bridle horses, right, that are advanced is about as far as it goes. They're straight up in the bridle riding in the rain in Romal, and people will bring me their bridle horses that are not really doing it as well as they used to. Sometimes I'll go back to the hackamore, the snaffle, the GR bit to work on the maintenance, the flexing, the bending, and all that stuff. The reason we do all the flexing and bending and all that stuff is so we can ride them perfectly straight with ease. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, especially these clinicians. All they're doing is teaching people how to do one rein stop and disengage the hind end.
Yes.
Sorry, but disengaging the hind end drives me nuts. Do you know how many hours I've spent fixing that? Because horses aren't supposed to plant their front feet and move their butt. They're supposed to plant the butt and move the front. So that's something that's those grits are way overcooked at a lot of clinics. Disengage the hind end.
Why?
Thank you.
So where did that mentality or that thought process come from?
I don't know if we want to go there.
Okay.
It's
I want to go there. I don't know if you want to go there.
It's a clinician thing, right?
Okay. Because it sounds good?
It sounds good. And on some, like when you're putting first rides on one that might break in half and buck, to take them here and kick that hip over and break stuff loose, I get it.
Yes.
But when you go to a world famous clinician and all you're doing every clinic, every weekend, is disengaging the hind end, you're teaching that horse some damn bad habits that somebody is going to have to fix. So if we were to go out to the round pen, okay, and I was to saddle a green colt, one that's maybe never even been ridden, or your mare or Hank, any of them, and I were to put them in a snaffle bit and bit them up straight and turn them loose, okay, when that horse turns, they don't do this and pull their face to the side and step out with their butt and disengage their hind end. They will stop and stay perfectly straight and cross over and go the other way, right?
Right.
Even a horse that's never been ridden will turn perfectly straight and move their front end correctly because they're straight. But forever we've been taught we've got to do this.
Yeah.
And it throws their butt out. That's not how horses do things. All that flexing and bending stuff is for the purpose of softness when we're going straight, body control. So if when I want to turn, I want to think of a straight line from the corner of my horse's mouth to my hand to my hip. That will keep that horse straight. Because horses don't walk out across the pasture and go, man, it's hotter than hell out here. I'm going to go stand in the shade and do this and walk off. You will never see a horse in a million years do that. They walk out there and they go, no, I'm going back to the shade. They keep their shoulders up. They keep their body straight. So all this stuff that we've done to them basically for centuries, I don't know. I guess I'm a weirdo and went, no, I don't buy that.
And did you learn that from your mentors, or how did you pick up on that?
Learned it from horses.
Just watched them.
Well, and it became common sense to me because I was like, horses don't do that stuff. They never do that to themselves. So how come we're taught that we got to do it that way?
Right.
So for me, and maybe it's because by nature I'm kind of a lazy bastard, I don't want to work that damn hard to train a horse, right?
I doubt lazy is the word I would ever use for you, but
I want to simplify things for the horse. And so what are the rules? If I take this rein and flex your neck and use this leg, you move off. Same with the other leg, okay? Now, if I want to go straight, and instead of doing all this stuff with my hands, I just keep you here, you soften your chin, stay between my hands, stay between my legs. What can I not get you to do from that point? That's why I can take horses that aren't very broke and put them straight up in the bridle and ride one-handed. This is because I've taught them just boundaries.
Yeah.
That's all it is boundaries. And they move more naturally
Because of that.
Yeah. They stay straight. Horses don't contort their bodies. That's stupid human tricks.
Well, it's interesting to hear about a lot of the common training techniques and what you're told to look for and do. And again, you from the beginning, the first time we set foot in that arena, we talked about it before in the studio, but then when we actually were out here, feeling what you were talking about, again, it's like breaking Emma bad habits, my mental bad habits, my just almost muscle memory. And that was hard. But after riding with you for a little bit, I tried it on some other horses that we ended up going branding and doing gathering, and I was riding other horses. And I kind of thought in the back of my mind, I was like, well, Greg said this, and I tried, and just horses that I have never even rode before, just right there.
They all get it.
Yes.
And it's easier.
Yes, it is. You're not guiding. It's like a toddler. Like, you're not guiding the toddler. The toddler's the one that kind of jerks around all the time. It felt so different trying to control movement versus just guiding the movement.
Right.
So.
That was well put.
Thank you. See?
So,
somewhat eloquent.
I was at a clinic in Las Vegas, and a gentleman named Garth Gardner that is the most quiet, humble guy. Dude's done so much with horses. He rode for the Queen of England.
Oh, wow.
He trained in
R.I.P.
Ireland.
Really?
Cutters, reiners. He's really into barrel horses right now.
Huh.
He actually is part owner in a horse that won the Kentucky Derby and the breeders.
Jeez.
I mean, the guy knows horses, right? And I knew him from back home in Idaho. And he now lives in Arizona, and he drove up to a clinic just to visit me, right? I had one of the horses was an off-the-track thoroughbred that was now a dressage horse. One was a little Type E quarter horse that was a mounted shooting horse.
Oh, wow.
So he's watching me, and this was like day 2 or day 3 of the clinic, so the people had already been programmed. Quit looking where you're going. Stay with your horse will stay with you, right? And I greatly respect Garth. And he's over at the fence, and we were working on a bunch of stuff, and I come over and I said, what do you think, Garth? He said, man, it's so cool how you connect with each horse and rider, no matter what level they are or anything. You just got a way that's so cool. It's fun to watch. He said, but there is one thing I'd do different. I was like, what's that? He said, I'd tell them to look where they're going. And I'm so glad you brought that up.
So glad you mentioned that.
So I went and jumped on the thoroughbred, and I said, this is how he's going to guide if I do this. Then I was doing different exercises. But what if I do the exact opposite and I stay with him? And I did all the exercises. And then I went and got on the little quarter horse and was doing rollbacks and turns and everything. This is how they do it when you're here or here. This is how they do it when you're here. And I went over to the fence. I said, what do you think? And he goes, I think I'm going home and changing 50 years of riding wrong.
Wow.
He said, when you were telling me, I didn't believe it, but I watched it, and I'm over here kicking myself in the butt going, why the hell did I never think of that?
Yeah.
But we get programmed. I was programmed, you were programmed. Quit looking at your horse, his damn head ain't gonna fall off.
Yeah, his ears ain't gonna go anywhere, yeah.
And a lot of people teach you, turn with your navel,
Yeah, like with your torque, yeah.
Right? But look how far it pushes your body the wrong way. And your horse feels that, so they're going to be stepping out instead of coming through the turn.
Yeah. Well, and you made a really good point. Like, visually, my mind flashed back to when you said rollbacks. Those horses come up, and a lot of the time you see those riders turn, and then it's a delay before that horse turns with them. On some of the riders, then you see other riders that the ones that look smooth, collected, they turn. It may even be that great of a rollback, but they look so much better and collected, almost like a one-unit movement when they move together. It's just night and day different. So if you're ever watching reining or some stock horse shows in the reining patterns, watch some of these horses and riders, and in no way am I picking on them because I'm guilty as the rest of them, but when they go in, turning versus moving together, and it's like a delay. Do you see that person, especially in the two-hand, and they turn like this, and then the horse throws its head, and
it
usually throws it down and then back up, and then they take off. But
And they're usually on the wrong lead when they leave.
yes. And that's why, part of it, right?
That is
Because your weight's on the wrong...
Yeah, because if I do this, and I'm forcing my horse to catch up to me, when they do catch up, they're usually an eighth past straight. So when they lope off, they hit the wrong lead.
Foot, yeah.
But if they stop straight and square, and I stay with them and push them through here, they launch directly into the correct lead.
Well, speaking of leads and all of these other exciting topics, I'm excited to go ride. So I guess let's go.
There. So see, I don't trap her. And the more...
So explain what you're looking for right now.
I want her to balance herself out, move forward without throwing her head up. See when she moved forward how she dropped her head? Because that's what I'm going to ask her to do when I'm on her back. And notice the softer she gets, the more balance she gets, the quieter her movements are going to be a lot softer. She won't be sporadic at all. See how floaty she is in her movements there?
Yeah.
Okay. There. And see, those reins never come tight, right? She knows where to be. She knows how to balance herself out. Watch when she turns. We'll set up a turn over here. She'll hold her hip straight. Come through on that front end. So that's what they do naturally, right? See, she can go right, she can go left. She stays perfectly straight.
Right.
So I'm going to put her in the GR bit now.
Okay.
Okay. So this is just a fast progression, right? Of kind of one to the next. What's the steps? How do I go from point A to Z? All right, so instead of having my hands all high and wide, and what if I kind of go with the same angle of where she was when she was bitted up? And when she goes to pick her head up, instead of tugging on her,
You just stay still.
I just stay in that same place. You want to tighten that rein? That's your fault. So, right here, she is perfectly balanced, and all I'm using is a thumb and a forefinger. Okay, that's all I got on her. See how consistent, right?
Right.
So now I want to work on softening laterally. So instead of tugging her face over there, what if I were to just draw and set my hand right there on my hip? So the length of that reine's not going to change, right? Where can I send her? Okay, I push her out wide with my inside leg, then I slowly change legs until her front end steps through like that, okay? So I've got her pretty bent, right? So this goes back to what we were saying earlier, that the reason we want all the flex and bend on them is so we can ride them better straight. So I've got her bent here, pushing off my right leg. Then I just slowly change legs. She steps across, okay? All right, well, if I can do that with bending you, what if I don't? What if I can't turn my head and twist my torso and pull on your face? Where can I turn you? and keep you perfectly straight. See how free her shoulders were through that turn? Okay, I'm perfectly straight. I just push and she moves over. I don't stab her with a leg, okay? I just barely touch her. So I've got this framework right here, okay? I can't pull right, I can't pull left. All I can do is draw to me slightly and change my leg, and she changes the direction in which she's going, and her body stays in perfect alignment like she would if I'm not up here riding.
And is most of
See that?
Is most of your leg pressure coming from your calf when you're turning?
Yep.
Okay.
There. See how easy she comes through that turn? So when you dropped her off, every time she'd go to turn, she'd get her kind of bound up in the front end and hit her front feet together and usually back up. So a lot of people want to pull horses to get them to back up because they're worried about them being on their inside hind foot if you're a rein, or outside if you're a cow horse person, which is a different discussion. In the beginning stages, I don't care which hind foot you're on, just don't jump backwards or throw your hip to the outside, okay? So if I just, and when I feel the turn coming, instead of pulling on their face, I just let them turn. I let them turn, and I push, you step out of it, and I just get out of their way and let that front end come through. So if I've done that, and I've built this base right here, where I'm not pulling their face in either direction to turn, then why can I not ride them one-handed like they're really, really broke? Because all I'm going to do is pick up my hand here, engage my leg, and move that front end over, okay? So, you see, you really don't even see me doing anything different, right? But yet I can manipulate where her feet go by the slightest touch. And she just turns through. I quit riding, she backs, stops and backs, drop a leg, push her through that turn. I quit riding, she stops. Good. So it's pretty soft. Everything's real methodical and slow with me. Because if I'm jerking and kicking and jamming around on them, it takes away that opportunity to learn, right? Does that make sense? So every gear that we go faster, I expect the exact same feel, okay? I'm not jerking on her face, okay? As soon as she goes forward, what'd she do? Dropped her chin, right? Whoop, stumbled. There you go. Good girl. So she's starting to use her butt to stop. Whoa. See the difference? But I'm not pulling her to a stop. I just quit riding and sit here. And if I stay here, I expect her to come back. So you can work on your feel. Stop and back, forward. What if I shorten that up to one step? What if I shorten it up to just changing her balance?
There you go.
and just rock her back and forth by what I'm changing here. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Remember how she was up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down?
It's like watching a completely different animal.
And when she goes forward, she doesn't fall apart. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you're spooking at over there, but knock it off.
Greg, she looks completely different.
Huh?
She looks completely different.
Oh boy. Whoa. No, that wasn't very pretty. Come here. But notice when she lopes off, she stays balanced. She doesn't throw her head up and hollow her back out to take off. She stays right here. See, I can't even feel her mouth. This is where she wants to be right now, right there. See that? And when she comes, there you go. Now I'm going to go from here to swing through here. So right there, she kind of hung a little bit. I didn't rip on her face. I'm just like, no. Let's do that a little smoother. There, that's a better transition. Here, now a little smoother transition. There. There you go. Whoa. So when she leans, I don't pull on her. I just stay true to what I believe. Hold it in one place. Like right there. So instead of tugging on her to fix that, I'll go, does that really feel good? See how quick I fix that? Mm-hmm. Instead of reprimanding her, I just go, really? That's not how we stop. There. Does that make sense?
It does. Are you sure you want to do that?
Right. So we've gone from riding like this, okay, and getting all the flex and bend on her. Oh. See right there, I just wait. Mm-hmm. Give me that. There. Okay. So we went from the snaffle bit, which is kindergarten, to college.
College?
Well, let's see how you do master's degree. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Suck that right up almost like you liked it, sister.
Has she ever been ridden that one yet?
This will be the third time ever.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I was kind of saving it for you.
Have you?
Yeah. Okay, so when I put a horse in a bridle bit, I don't just jump on. I'm going to let her work her mouth, work that cricket.
Just get used to the feel.
Mm-hmm.
And the weight, I'm assuming.
Yep. And when she starts to work that cricket with a little quieter mouth, there, that's a little better. Now if I were to engage that just a little, you're not listening, you're paying attention to what's going on outside the round pin, aren't you? So what did I say about if I ask a question there, I'm not going to change the answer. I'm not going to pull harder. Okay, I'm just going to set it there and wait for her to decide there.
There it is.
Okay, That's all I want. See how much quicker it's coming now? Now I barely move my hand and she drops off the pressure. So if I would have got my ego in the way of what happened right there, I would have like,
Bumped
hey, you're
her.
supposed to know that, and bumped her instead of just go, well, what if I don't? What if I just wait for you to find the right answer? Thank you. Okay.
So if you were to sum up your entire method of training into one word, what would you say? Patience?
Patience is your number one key. And fairness. You got to be fair. And like I said, when we were in the barn, when people are riding, they get to run in a dictatorship instead of a partnership, right? I don't want to be a dictator. I want to be a partner. So she kind of picks up, right? So what if I just touch this rein? There. What if I just touch it? If I just touch it. See, I don't have to pull on it. All I've got to do is engage my hand. See where she goes? And I'll just wait for her. Thank you. Thank you. So what's harder on this horse's mouth? Somebody seesawing with a snaffle bit? Or touching her this softly? See that? Okay. So now I will say, wow, you're engaged. Let's go forward. And I can't John Wayne guide her around here. I've got about 2 inches off of each side of this horn I can move my hand, and that is it. See how nice she turned right there? That's just right. Very good. So when she's out of frame like that, in the end of that stop, I don't tug on her face. I just stay true to what I believe and what I preach. Just wait for them. Whoa. Let them come back to you. Whoa. Good girl. Good. So I can basically put my hand down, okay? I need to fix something. I barely engage. She comes back to me. She gets distracted. I barely engage. Come back to me. Come back to me. Thank you. And I do it. I ask her politely, come here. Come here. Now I want you over here. And it's just smooth as butter. Oh, you can do it prettier than that. There you go. So for the third time in what, a couple months, not too bad.
Not too bad.
But it's just like I tell people at my clinics all the time, it doesn't matter what I can get your horse to do. What truly matters and what counts is what I can help you and your horse do together.
Right.
Because I want it to matter. When I load up in the saddle tramp rig and take off to the next town, I want to know you're in a good place. And you can do this tomorrow without me right
Yeah, because
there.
it does no good for you or your horse if you can't.
Right. So, want to try?
Sure.
I knew you would be a good sport.
Twist my arm, why don't you?
Do I need to change them stirrup length?
Yeah, I think we ride about the same. I tend to ride mine with a little shorter, but
Right. Okay. So hold that in your left hand just like a microphone.
Okay.
And see how you've got your shoulder back a little bit?
Okay.
This stuff matters. Move your hand forward and bend your elbow.
Keep it right here.
So
though?
see how you're cocked? And a lot of people ride that way. But if you were to move it forward,
Okay.
that keeps your shoulders square,
Okay.
keeps your pin bones square on your horse's back.
Okay.
But if you do this, especially in stops, if you draw your arm back, it turns you,
Yeah.
right? But if you keep that free hand right here, it keeps your shoulders straight, keeps your hips straight.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
You look like you just stepped into a Ferrari and you don't know which button to push.
Yeah, I know. It's like this is not the same horse that I had a few
Okay,
months
so
ago.
just engage. There. Now just ride her off. Little different feel.
Yeah, a lot.
She looks great.
She feels great.
So don't change your hand when you want to stop. Just from the point of your hip to your toe, just push forward. More than that.
More than that.
If
Okay.
if you half-ass your stop, she'll
Okay.
stop half-ass. Be committed to
Okay.
it. She'll believe you. There you go.
We hear things outside.
Just engage both legs a little bit, and she'll get softer. There you go. There. There you go. Better. Okay. Frame her back up. Just engage your hand just a little bit. Say, hey, come here to me. Add your leg there. Rolls over the bridle. There. Now just set up a turn. Stay straight. Just change your leg and turn your toe out and push her. There you go. Push her some more. Swing that shoulder off your outside leg. There it is. There it is.
Okay.
Good. Good. You ride forward and go the other way. Just engage your leg and push her to the turn.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Wow. So one of the biggest things that I'm just trying to verbally describe, because nobody else has really seen this mare outside of you and me, Greg, but when I dropped her off, it was like everything just felt really stiff.
Yeah.
And now it feels as though you just took WD-40 and put it over all the gears, and now it's a completely different feel.
Right. Well, so, nutrition.
Yeah, talk about that, because we changed her nutrition program too coming here.
So
She was on a ration balancer and alfalfa, and then y'all don't really feed alfalfa here very much. Y'all do grass hay, right?
yeah, coastal and some alfalfa pellets, then a 14% pellet additive. So, there's that, and then a big key to this too is my buddy Chantel
Okay.
Falter, that's a body worker. She's up in Idaho. She's so good that I bring her clear to Texas about every 6-7 weeks to work my horses.
And she does
she's the
a lot
best.
of work.
Huh?
She does a lot of work, not just
Oh yeah, she does.
chiropractic. She does the MagnaWave, and what else does she do?
MagnaWave. She has a TENS unit, massage, and then the chiro. She's absolutely amazing. So that has really helped your mare be freed up, so I can do my job better.
And I think there's some skepticism, not so much as it was, even 10, 15 years ago, but the chiropractic work makes a big difference. Can you talk
Huge
about that? Because I think there's some people who are still a little hesitant.
Yep. It's
About it.
unfortunate though, because frame her up just a little bit more. She's kind of
getting out a little bit.
Just kind of raise your hand right over the cap of your saddle horn towards your sternum. There.
Okay.
And as you engage that leg, there. Make her roll over that bridle a little more. There. Pretty, pretty, pretty. There you go. That's show pin pretty right there. And then when you want to turn towards us, just use that left leg and swing her shoulder through. Nice. Excellent. Excellent.
I feel like a kid.
That smile looks pretty good on you, you know what?
I feel like you just gave me the keys to Santa's workshop and said, have at it, unlimited budget. It feels like the IRS owes you money. That's how it feels right now.
There you go. So because you're staying consistent, she is staying consistent, right?
Yeah.
If you're consistent with what you ask, she's going to be consistent with what she delivers to you. There you go. There, and when you feel her really roll over that bridle, just soften your feel just a little bit. Let her say, yep, that's where I want you. Atta girl. Right there, right there. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's what I refer to as much more better-ish.
Much more better-ish.
Yeah, that's one word, my word, much more better-ish. Push your feet forward, way forward. And just wait till she drops her chin and eases back. Patience, grasshopper. There you go.
There it is.
There you go. But that's how you create believability and fairness, is you just hold it and say, look, I got all day. I'm not going to fight you about this. I'm not going to scream the command at you. I'm just going to wait it out until you engage your brain and come off that pressure.
And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, too, is when you're pushing horses, they're getting frustrated because you're demanding things versus getting them to want to do it or understand what to do.
Right. All right. And just take a right turn off your leg. Just push her. Oh, your other
that's
right.
a left.
Yeah, your other right.
Gig 'em. He was like, this is a wall.
There you go.
This lady.
Yeah, just ride her right into a right turn off your left leg. There you go. Now just push her off into a jog. Stay fair with your hand. Stay centered. Purdy.
Ooh.
Okay. So when you let her get her head way up and her nose way out past the vertical, it's not as smooth. Okay. So you want to hold her accountable. Take a hold of her and say, look, you got to do this pretty.
Okay.
And don't let her fall apart, because when you do, the higher her head goes and the more her nose runs out past the vertical, the more her back sags. And that's why she gets rough, because she's not collected.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could feel a difference, and then I felt like
Stay connected with your seat and drive her forward from your pockets, right towards your chin.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Slide your hand slightly down that rein. Now stop for just a second. Here's something that's a little trick, okay? Stand your thumb
Okay.
just like that.
Okay.
And when you need her to get more collected, push your thumb forward as you touch the rein.
Okay.
Okay?
Just more leverage?
Yep, just a little bit. Instead of doing this and yanking on her face, draw on her instead of tug on her. There, now, add some more leg. There. Roll her over that bridle. Atta girl. Just like that. And she needs to slide your hand down that rein just a little bit more. And hold her accountable to that pretty place. She knows how to do it. That's better. That's better. Good. Good. Keep her there. Don't let her fall apart just because you're going to lope off. Hold her in that frame and push her with your leg until she lopes right up into her chin. That's better. There you go. Whoop. There. There, it's coming. Now you're getting it. Now you're finding the feel. Now just quit riding and tell her to stop.
Whoa. Whoa.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another gear here now.
Oh, yeah.
Or 4.
And so, little backstory on her. When she brought her here, we couldn't get her to lope more than what? 10 strides. And she would like slam on the brakes and want to back up, and you'd have to really spank her forward. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where that came from in her past, but she just felt like she couldn't just free up and go forward and maintain the lope. Because she would only go, what? Probably about 10 strides, right?
Maybe, yeah, a quarter of an arena or something like that on the turn.
Yeah, if
like
that.
She'd make one turn, and then as soon as you got halfway through, she'd try to break down. And she'd get like a step or two in, and then you get her back up. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she just didn't want to.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge improvement, that she knows that front door's open. She can balance out and keep moving forward. But I think that and not to pick on them, but I think the cutting deal.
Yeah.
Because it's all back, and I think she didn't know that front door was very open. Engage your leg and make her drop off that pressure there. See how important your leg is? Mm-hmm. So that's why I tell people, set your hand in that place, ride their body to their face, don't pull their face to their body.
Yeah.
And then I play games with them to say, how quietly can I whisper a cue to you to change what you're doing underneath me?
Like gates?
No, direction, just, there you go. Nice. That's a new feature for her.
It's a very new feature. I feel like I got one of those fancy rental cars that you walk or you get in there, you're like, there's buttons instead of gears, or
Right.
there's a touch screen instead of a CD player.
It's a big difference, isn't it? And the more you get used to riding that way, both of you just start clicking together. The consistency comes. You know exactly what you're feeling for. She knows exactly what to give you. So then when you go get on other horses, right? Mm-hmm. Nice. There. When you go get on other horses, you're going to want to set up that same feel for them.
Yeah. Hi. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Very good. It's a new pony.
I think she's pretty happy.
Are you videoing right now?
Yeah.
I need to go to value the food store. I don't put anything on the top.
Why not?
There's hay, have to strap down.
Okay. There you go. There's that consistency. Very nice. Very nice. When she gets really round like that, that's when you push her off. That a girl. There you go. Now you're finding it. Fix her. There. Just barely bend your elbow and drive her with your seat and your feet, and she'll roll over the bridle. There. There. And go find a place to quit riding and just commit to that stop. You didn't get jacked up out of your seat that time.
Yeah, that time. We knew what we were prepared for.
Good job. Pretty cool, huh?
Huh?
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Now I just need to be as nimble
So,
as
I
her.
don't stay there.
Okay.
So, how hard does she guide now? So, what if you were to just take your index finger and do that?
Okay.
And you just guide her off the tip of your finger. When you want to turn, you just barely move your hand. Put a little leg. There you go. That's better.
Yeah.
Barely move it. That a girl.
Well, now I don't want to take her home. I do, but I don't. Man,
Pretty nice, huh?
it is very nice. It's very nice. It's to give some context, I was really having to push her to get her to go anywhere. And she caught on to what we were trying to do at times, but there was a lot of moments where I felt as though in my ignorance, I had to really just take her and be like, this way, child. Like the analogy earlier, guiding some 2-year toddlers around, that's how it felt, and that it was almost like strong arming. And I knew I wasn't doing her much justice with inconsistency, but also just, like I said earlier, just flat out ignorance. And so Greg, even when I first stepped in the arena already, through the way that you were telling me to rethink, and I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, first time riding with you, it was already night and day difference, because I felt as though I could see. I felt like the blind man in the Bible. You took mud, arena dirt, you smeared it all over my eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can see. And now I get to feel the fruits of that training input you've been putting on her. And even if it's just, even though it's just very basic stuff in the grand scheme and the scope of things, it's the basics that really, it's whether you're building your house on sand or rock, to keep with the Bible analogies.
Well, people who are lower level or intermediate, they're always, especially at clinics, wanting to work on the hard stuff to master it. But if you study the masters, they work on the basics all the time. It's basics. And that's what builds you up to master horsemanship, is simplifying it and constantly working on the basics.
Yeah.
Because the basics are all the keys.
They really
it's all
are.
right there.
It's your foundation.
Yep. And the
100%.
horses are not stressed out and freaked out, and when they can find their balance without it being man-made by using tie downs, draw reins, martingales, all that crap. I refuse to use any of that stuff, because if I can't use it in a show pen, I ain't using it. Because all it is creating a crutch for me and my horse that I'm going to have to take away from them someday anyway. So I refuse to use those things. And even if I never show a horse again, I'm still never going to use a draw rein or a martingale. I just won't do it.
And a lot of people use martingales. Like a lot of people use them.
And in my opinion, all it is a crutch for the both of you. Why don't you use what the good Lord gave you? But lower your, so hand placement, especially, this is really important, and I go through this a lot, especially when you're two-handed, like in a GR bit, snaffle bits. You watch, people will go here to fix things. They pick up here.
Oh, you see all them trainers that have like their hands way up.
So you look at the corner of their mouth to where your hand is. That's a pretty damn steep angle, right? So that's why those horses will get high-headed and do this, and then they start hiding behind the bridle, and they're still not correct. But if I change that angle from this steep and I lower my hand to about right here, changes it from the corner of the mouth to here, they can drop their neck set, breaking the pole a lot easier than if that angle's up here. It's just physics.
Right. It's just physics.
And making it simple.
Yeah.
And I not once had to tell you, quit looking around the corner.
No, I'm getting better about
Yeah,
that.
you are. And just engage your hand and just
And just
capture a little with your calves. And say, well, look, I really want you to drop your chin. More than that. More than that.
It's like our government trying to do work.
There.
There
you
it
go.
is.
Good.
Very fun.
Great things come with patience.
They sure do.
So it's like horsemanship. I think we talked a little bit about this in our first podcast. It's like building a puzzle. Starting a horse. What's the easiest part of a puzzle? It's the corners and the outer edge. Those are the easy parts, right? About anybody can find the corners and the straight edges. That's pretty basic, pretty simple. But as you start building that picture, if you start trying to cram pieces where they don't belong, and you rush it and you don't take time, the picture will never make sense. And I'm not a huge puzzle builder, but I've built a few. It's probably been 20 years, but there'll be a piece that's the right color and it kind of looks like the right piece, and you put it there and you're trying to convince yourself that goes there, and you know damn good and well it doesn't go there because you can see that little shred of daylight and you're like, I think it goes there, and you're like, don't be an idiot. You know it doesn't go there. Take it out and go find the right piece. So that's horsemanship. If we go to trying to put things where they don't belong and we try to rush it to finish the picture, we're going to end up having to go clear back out to that outer edge and start completely over.
And start all over.
Yeah. And that's what I have to do in my training business a lot is I'll get blown up show horses and, oh, he was a great show horse, he's wrecked now. Okay, well, I've got to go clear back out. And I've got to rebuild and take each piece and put it where it belongs. I would like to think that, you know, it's getting more common for people to train with fairness and help the horses find their true potential rather than force it on them. I would like to think that's the mindset. You know, people are a lot more educated now.
That's true.
Farriers are better. Vets are better. We use, you know, we go back to the chiropractic, the body work stuff. That's all beneficial. Learning that some gear like Tom Thumb bits are absolute crap and you never use them. There you go. See how free her shoulders are now? So
She's not trying to shuffle like she was before.
So we've got so much information, you know, and every one of us has got one of them cell phones, right? So you can look up horse training and you'd go cross-eyed looking at all the different stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm right and everybody else is wrong. I'm just saying, you know what, this works pretty darn good for me. And it doesn't really matter the horse or the discipline. They seem to understand it pretty well. It goes well. So, you know, until I find a better way, that's what I'm going to stick to. But it is always evolving, always evolving. I learn more from horses. I think one of the reasons why I have the program I have is because I ride all the horses at the clinics.
Yes.
And I have to get better.
That's true.
I have to be the guy with all the answers, right? And I run across some pretty crazy stuff on occasion with horses that I've never experienced before, and I got to figure out how to fix it. And I don't have a month to do it. I've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes to do it.
Right. You just get seconds compared to what most trainers get with problem horses, or quote unquote problem horses.
There you go. And then when you feel her start to find that soft place, just barely lower your hand and say, yeah, that's where I want you, sister. So it's little bitty Tiny corrections that a judge won't even see you making. But you don't let them get completely out of balance. As soon as you feel them coming out of balance, you barely say, no, why don't we not do that? Like right there, she's a little out, so slowly draw on her, add a little more leg. There. Easy fix. Very good. Good deal. There it is. And when she's really nice and balanced, that's when you ask her to stop because her body's set up to do it correctly. See, she's strung out there a little bit. Frame her up. There it is. That's better. Yeah, like that. See, if you wait until she's framed up and correct, so when you quit riding, her body's in a position where she can just get in the ground, right? And you stayed right there because it was easy. You're both set in the exact right place to just quit riding and get a clean stop. Pretty fun, huh?
Pretty fun. It'll be even more fun when I'm not all stiff and actually consistently put a leg over too, because now I feel like I'm moving like Reba was when she first got here. But
no, you're better. You're better than you were.
I've been sitting in the saddle of a truck more than a saddle and a horse for a while. So, and it goes to show you that your consistency between training but also riding. The more you ride, and the more that you're consistent, because I think a lot of people think, oh, that's my tried and true horse, that's my heart horse, I think is the trending name I've been seeing around.
Yeah.
And people just think that you just not, I mean, they might be horses that are retired and every once in a while you throw a saddle over, but I think it's unfair to ask them to maintain a consistency of obeying of what you want if you're not consistent with asking, or if you're not consistent in riding in general. Anyway, yeah, she's fun. And the riding in this, I've never ridden her in anything like this before.
No.
No.
So it's so simple, it's stupid. I know the first podcast, I brought it up. I said, great horsemanship's like salvation. It's so simple, it's stupid, but men can't help but screw it up. They kind of make it some hard, jump through all the hoops kind of deal.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's pretty basic.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty simple.
That's funny. I forgot if you said that. Yeah, you did.
So, and you look at her, I mean, she's just
hanging out.
We went from a snaffle bit to the GR bit to a bridle bit, and she's just as relaxed and happy as a clam. So, way more bit than what we started with, but she's a hell of a lot happier than that.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad we got to do this kind of video, this progression, so you can see boom, 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 wow. And, it's not like we're doing cuts and coming back the next day.
Yeah.
This is
one straight video.
Yeah, it's all happening live. Live action.
Live action.
No, that's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm happy for both of you.
Well, we lost a little video there at the end, but Greg, thank you again so much for having us out and sharing not only your absolute wealth of knowledge, but also taking the time to demonstrate some of the things and the theories that we had discussed. Again, if y'all are interested in contacting Greg about either having a horse show training with him or what kind of clinics are coming up, check out our website. All of his contact information is there. And again, thank you for listening to another episode of the Bridge Podcast. I'm your host, Emma Kaufman. Y'all be sure to like, subscribe, to not only to YouTube, but to all of the podcast networks. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and be sure to check out our website. It's full of information and resources. And if you would like to be a sponsor, be sure to message us on our website. Again, thank you, and we'll see you next time.